So, a year on from the last COP, let's see how a few numbers have shifted in 12 months. Actual global temperature has increased by 0.024 degrees. At the top here is the past week's power mix. But let's compare September last year to September this year in a slightly different form, this radar chart. It shows that the proportion of wind in the UK's electricity mix jumped from 18% last September to 24% this September. And this gusty November, a record's already been set. The first time wind has generated over 20 gigawatts of electricity on a single day, more than half of our total electricity demand. But despite these achievements and world leaders meeting in Egypt, greenhouse gases, of course, continue to build. And scientists are worried that this could trigger some massive changes to our natural world. Well, Thomas Moore is here to talk about this, our science correspondent. Thomas, is this all about tipping points?
Yes, and they are adding to the urgency of the talks in Egypt because these tipping points are really big changes to the Earth systems. You could say life support systems because they are so critical to moving temperatures and the climate around the world. But the point is that once they start, they can't be stopped and they could potentially be catastrophic.
Sound like a very big deal. What kind of things are we talking about here?
Yeah, so we can look at some of them. So you go up to the top of the world and you've got the Greenland ice sheet. Now, that's 2 miles thick at its summit, and as that ice is melting, it's coming into contact with warmer air at lower altitudes, speeding up the melt. Now, if that all goes, that adds 7.5 metres to global sea levels.
Wow, that's taller than an average house.
Yeah, and it gets worse, because if you go to the south, you've got the West Antarctic ice sheet. Now, that's a series of glaciers, and if one collapses, then there's going to be a domino effect. If they all go, that's another 3 metres being added to global sea levels. Up to the top of the world again, and you've got Arctic permafrost, another of the likely ones to reach a tipping point. That is a frozen Earth which loops around the Arctic, and it contains 1.5 trillion tonnes of carbon, historic, prehistoric animals and plants which haven't rotted down. But as microbes wake up, that's starting to happen. It could be a carbon bomb, which then accelerates climate change. And then you've got coral reefs in tropical seas. Now, 99% of those could go. And these are living life forms, and they are stressed by warm water. Normally recover, but the water is now so warm that they could die. Now, coral reefs support fish that feed 1 billion people, so really important.
Now, are these kind of immediate things, or are they a bit, like a Hollywood movie, or are they a bit longer term?
Many people misunderstand what a tipping point is. It's not going to happen like a Hollywood movie where it happens in a matter of days. This is something that could happen over centuries. But the point is, it's a juggernaut. You can't stop them. And the 4 that I've mentioned there, those happen at 1.5 degrees. We're currently on course for 2.5 degrees of global warming. Then you're going to see the loss of Arctic sea ice, the loss of mountain glaciers, and the disruption to the West African monsoon. It just gets worse, and that's why Egypt is so important.
And the big threat here is that they are irreversible once they start.
Indeed.
Thomas, thank you very much indeed.